Hey, it's Abdullah Samir, and I have a soul-searching question that I think we all need to ask ourselves. Am I a presuppositionalist? It's a big word, but what does it mean? It means, am I someone that presumes a specific position with or without evidence? Ask yourself, if evidence came to you that your position was wrong, that your belief was unfounded, that there was no reason to believe in what you believe in, would you still believe in it? Are you willing to die on the same position with or without evidence? Are you willing to stick to that position no matter what anyone tells you? Or do you have the moral courage and confidence and integrity to say, I'm wrong, I made a mistake, and I was misguided? Many people I speak to tell me, I will never leave Islam no matter what. I believe it's a truth from God, and that's the end of it. That's just what I believe. I'm not willing to reconsider my position. I'm not willing to discuss the evidence. In fact, the only evidence I need is the Quran and the Sunnah. Now, what do such people do when doubts come to them? Well, the first thing they do is they avoid doubt. So when something doubtful comes, they don't read it, they don't want to look into it, they want to shield themselves from doubt, right? And this is one way that religious people are able to maintain the belief. The first way is to avoid doubt completely, to shield yourself, to bubble yourself. Many people do this to their children. They'll put them in Islamic school, they'll keep them away from, certain types of people. They don't want them to think outside the box. They won't let them watch TV and movies, and they'll try to control them to the maximum extent possible. Now, here's the thing. You can only go so far by shielding yourself. Eventually, something will come to you that will make you wonder, this doesn't add up, this is causing me conflict. And that's when the cognitive dissonance kicks in. For example, when the Quran says, Allah is the one that holds up the sky without any pillars, or when he talks about the sun and the moon each going in an orbit, and then now you're wondering, at the time of Muhammad in the deserts of Arabia, when they looked up at the sky, what would they have believed? Well, they would have believed the sun and the moon were going around the earth in an orbit. In fact, this was a common mythology that people used to believe back then. They also used to believe, like many other cultures before them, and this is well documented, that the sky was raised up, was pushed up by either the god of the sky, or there was two gods, the god of the earth and the god of the sky, and the people in between pushed them up. And I talk about this in my video, Creation Myths and the Big Bang in the Quran. I go into great detail. So now you're faced with a troubling fact. What does a believer do? They say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek refuge in Allah from shaitan the cursed. And they say, I'm not going to think about this. Or what they do is apologetics, mental gymnastics. They say, well, it is quite possible that the Quran is speaking about the sun and the moon going around the earth. That's not what it means. It means the earth is going around the sun, the moon is going around the earth, and the sun is going on a 300 million year orbit around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. 300 million year orbit. That's right. Okay, all of us are going to be dead by the time that orbit is done. And Allah talks about it and He says, do you not see? Or, He connects the orbit of the sun and the moon, and He talks about night and day, and He says that it's not for the sun to catch the moon and it's not for the moon to catch the sun. Or He talks about how the sun and the moon, they'll be, joined. Thousands of moons can fit side by side inside the sun. But when you look at them, you don't necessarily see that. You don't realize that piece of information. So the believer, again, is stuck, and he has to come up with clever gymnastics. But this is one way of dealing with it. The other way of dealing with it, which is more common with the hadith, is to say, no, that hadith is not authentic. Nah, it can't be. When you find an authentic hadith that says the Prophet, for example, these people, they took advantage and they killed some of his companions, so he caught them and he burned their eyes and he cut off the opposite hand and leg and he let them die without water in the desert. And someone will read that and say, no, that's not authentic. In Bukhari, that's not authentic. That must be fabricated. The most authentic collection of hadith, but it's fabricated. And then they'll say, it can't be. Prophet couldn't do that. It's beyond him to do such a thing, right? Even though the Quran talks about the punishment for treason in the same way. But nevertheless, Prophet couldn't have done that. What's the other possibility? The other possibility is maybe the Prophet did it, but it was only a specific circumstance. So they'll say, no, this is not applicable to today. That was a very specific situation where he did that. Or they'll just say that maybe Bukhari made a mistake and the Prophet never said it, right? So there's different ways believers deal with challenges like this, where we see a contradiction between reality as we understand it and the text of the Quran and Sunnah. My appeal to everyone is follow truth, follow reason. If two people came to you and told you this is true, how would you know? You'd have to go by your reason. And this is how we can beware of false ideas, false religions, false ideologies. The only way we can do it is to follow a reason and to sharpen our intellect and our cognitive skills and not fall for such tricks, right? Let's not fall for tricks. Let's when evidence comes to us that something is false, we need to be brave. We need to confront our fears. We need to look into it, and we need to follow the truth. And that's the most important thing. The truth is the most important. Just because something has some benefits, especially if you invested heavily into it, maybe you memorize the Quran, maybe you're an imam, be brave. Confront your fears. Look into these issues. And if you find it to be true, then maybe you need to change your position, just like I did. Thanks for watching. Bye.